I have two sessions where I can explain how we can use Excel and Power BI. So 3 hours each for today as well as tomorrow. So what I would say is for this session, for today's session, for 3 hours, I would start with Microsoft Excel, basics of Excel. I know many of you must be knowing Excel, but still I would like to introduce that because some of you might not be aware of basics as well. So I'll start with basics. I might be slow, let me know. If I'm fast, let me know as well. Right, so I'll start with basics, then I'll go ahead with working on pivot charts and pivot tables and some part of dashboarding. Then I will start introduction of Power BI, Microsoft Power BI, what it is, the interface, the basics. Then I'll go on downloading and installing and giving you the brief. And then once we end this session, you will be having the basics of storytelling, then Excel, how Power BI is installed, and the interface part of it. Then tomorrow we'll resume with Power BI, where we'll work on Dataset and we'll do end-to-end dashboarding, right? So that will be 3 hours totally Power BI dashboard making session, right? All right. So this was the learning curve which I was expecting. So we will learn HR Excel dashboard, analyzing HR data in Microsoft Excel, which is pivot table and charts. And then tomorrow we'll work on installing, understanding the Power BI interface, data set relationships, learning DAX formula, Power Query, and everything else. All right. So first of all, what is data visualization? So as you can see, data visualization is graphical representation of data and information. Every organization, any organization you can say has data. It can be small, it can be large, depending on the scale of the company. You have a lot of data, right? Now the question is how you can utilize the data to give the information to the organization so that they can make more informative decisions and they can, grow their sales. Basically, it is all about getting more revenue, hitting your top line, right? So for that, you need to visualize your data in that manner so that you can understand what is exactly that is happening inside the organization. For example, you have two figures over there. First is my table, right? This table is giving me gender, age, hire date, status, department, right? So second one is this chart, right? Now, this chart is giving me back office, IT, and R&D. These are the three departments. It is giving me average age by each department. So this is giving me that 36 is my average age for this back office. For IT, average age is 22, and for R&D is 32. This data, this you can say the bar chart, it is taken care from this particular table. So what I'm saying is this table, you won't be able to understand what exactly this table or data is giving me. But this chart, it is showing me that average age is 36, 22, or 32. This is giving me information. This is not giving me that much of input. But this is important because this is my raw data. So what exactly visualization is? Visualizing the raw data in that manner so that people can understand. This chart might not be relevant to particular department or particular stakeholder, right? So it is really important to understand what kind of data we have to visualize and what kind of charts we have to make, right? So this is really important of how you are visualizing your data, right? So goal of data visualization is to make complex data more accessible, understandable, and actionable. So ultimately, what we are doing is we are making raw data actionable so that we can make decisions. From this particular table, you might not be able to take decisions, but from this kind of chart, you can take decisions. So this is the purpose. So as I explained, to have a better comprehension, improve decision making, communication with your stakeholders, and rapid identifications. So as I saw here, you might not be understanding the patterns from this particular graph. You will be able to understand the patterns. We'll explain more of the graphs in the upcoming slides. So going ahead with the principles, So basically, you have to adhere with some principles. I'll quickly explain these principles while you're working on data visualization. It can be in Excel, it can be Power BI or Tableau. These principles will remain the same. First of all, it should be clear, the clarity of all the charts. So for example, if you see this cluttered design and you see this particular bar chart, obviously this chart looks more neat. You are able to understand what exactly this chart is showing me. For example, number of restaurants in each type. For example, delivery kind of restaurants, I have 4,382. It is clearly being explained, right? From this design, I'm not able to understand anything. This kind of design can be useful for any other feature, but not for this, right? So we have to be very clear while we are making the charts. For example, tomorrow we'll be working on Power BI dashboard. You must understand which chart has to be used where, right? So I'll explain you, and plus with the experience with working on more dashboards, you will be understanding which one to be used where. Second one is accuracy. So, however great, amazing, good looking dashboards you make, if it is not accurate, it is useless, right? And it will be very bad on your part when you showcase that particular dashboard to stakeholders, right? So, accuracy is the most important thing. Even if your dashboard is the ugliest kind of dashboard, that's fine, but accuracy is really important, right? For example, this is my data set, which is showing me gender, age, hire date, status, and department. These are the two graphs, right? My average age by department, it is here. Back office is 38, IT is 22, and 32 as seen in the last slide. This is my inaccurate data. It is showing me 39 as my R&D average age, right? So if you see R&D here, 1, 2, 3, if you see age 32, 34, 26, and 35, if you take the average, take the sum and divide by 3, it should be 32, but it is showing me 39. Maybe when we are working on charts, you might be using some other formula and by mistake you get this average, but this is really wrong. So again, we have to do our R&D again and again. R&D as in you have to research and go back, do reverse engineering and see if you have done the right calculations, if you have used the right formulas. Sometimes people use count instead of sum. Sometimes these are silly mistakes. So you have to really look into it, what exactly you're looking for, right? So accuracy is really important. Then we talk about consistency. So if you are working on dashboard, all your charts should look kind of similar. For example, in this chart, you can see I have used green, red, purple. Then here I have used light shades like yellow, orange. Then here's some other colors, right? So it is not looking nice, neat. And whereas this particular dashboard, I've used very, consistent colors, which is good to you look at, right? So you're able to understand, yes, this is some professional dashboard and I can make these kind of, and it will look good while you're representing this to the stakeholders, right? So consistency is really important. Then finally, simplicity is also very important. When someone is making the dashboards, many people think it should be really complicated. It should look really classy that people will think, wow, how you have made this. But no, I mean, when you're creating dashboard, it should be very simple so that it can give you the information. See the left hand side, this is not giving me any information. This is not giving me any information. This is giving me some information, but this is getting so much complicated. Whereas the right hand side, this is really simple. Dashboard means you have some data bars, or you can see these are data cards. Then you have pie chart or donut chart. Then you have other stat charts, tables, and then some of the graphical representations. So it is so easy. You click on summary, you will see the summary dashboard. If you click on segment, you will see the segment dashboard. It is so easy. You have some filters out there. Very easy for that. Any question? All right. So these were the four principles when we were talking about the dashboards. Now let's talk about some visuals, which are there in Power BI or any other BI tools. So first of all, line charts. So as you can see here, this is my line chart when there is some representation like this. right? You can create two subsequent line charts in one particular graph. You can see here is my sales line chart, one is expenses. You can see how sales is growing or degrowing versus expenses, right? So you can see the pattern. If my expenses are increasing, is my sales increasing, or vice versa, right? It is really good way to represent your series of data points when you are going in time series format. Then it is really good to use line charts where you can see the pattern. For example, if we are working on stock market analysis, right? This is a time series, right? When you are comparing your stocks for each month, line charts are really useful when you are working on moving average or weighted average. So line charts are used. Then we talk about donut chart. It is really simple and similar to pie chart. You have worked on pie chart, right? So if we talk about the complete 360-degree, that is 100% of the share, right? Then we talk about, let's say in this particular example, this is my 30.7% share of football. For example, if I am talking about total sports, 30.7% share is through football, then cricket 21.9, then basketball, hockey, and then tennis, right? So this is my pie chart showing me 100% share and what is the contribution of each and every component. Similarly, donut chart is same as the pie chart, but there is a hole. It looks like pie donut. That's why it's a donut chart. The name comes from donut looking symbol, or you can say the diagram. Here you can add a particular feature of the total contribution in Power BI. I'll explain this tomorrow. So, but otherwise, there is no difference between donut chart and pie chart. Then we will talk about the metrics chart. You can see this is similar to my table. So if I have taken a table and you want to build a relationship between two or more variables in a data set, then you can use metrics. This will give me the feature versus all the components, and it is really, really useful to impart any particular information. For example, you want to showcase state-wise your year till date sales, previous year sales, and then the forecast. Then you can have all the states mentioned over here in this particular column, and then all the features in these columns, and then you can compare for all the states. Similarly, in HR, if you want to analyze for each department, the salaries versus the cost or versus the training in part or something, then you can have this kind of metrics chart. Then if we talk about the slicer charts, so this is similar to filter. For example, you have created dashboard. Now you want to see the data for particular state. So you will select, let's say, Andhra Pradesh and Goa. All the data will be filtered for these states only. So this is the slicer charts, right? Then we will talk about the regional maps. So it is similar to the Google Maps or particular maps where you can highlight particular state, or you can highlight states with particular colors depending on the conditions. For example, you want to highlight particular states where the sales is greater than, let's say, 10 lakhs per month. You will highlight with green, which for example, the states which is giving me sales from 5 to 10 lakhs, highlight with yellow or something. Then you will see visually which states are highest sellings and which are the top sellings or lowest sellings. So depending on the color coding or conditional formatting, you can see the chart. Now coming to bar charts. So these are my bar charts where I'm showing you for example, in this example, I'm showing the population and GDP, the contribution for each country, right? It is very common. I mean, if any dashboard you are preparing, it is highly likely that you will use bar chart, right? So it plots numeric values of for levels of categorical feature as bars. Levels are plotted on one chart axis and values are plotted on the other axis. So you can see this axis, y-axis, as we say, this is giving me the categorical values, and x-axis is giving me the numerical values, right? Now coming to combo chart, it is a combination of both column charts as well as line charts. So you can see here, this is my column chart, right? So if you ignore these lines, this is my column chart. So whatever chart is vertical, it is my column. So if we talk about the bar charts, it is my horizontal, right? When we talk about vertical, it is my column chart. So column chart plus line chart. This is my line chart as we explained before. If we are using both of them, this is my combo charts. This is really good when you're comparing month on month for particular category. For example, you have 5 categories. You can have 5 lines showing each line for each category, and this will help you to understand which category is growing or degrowing particular for month on month as compared to other categories, right? So this is really useful. Then we will talk about the area chart. This is based on the line chart. You can see here, you have created a line, right? Under each line, there is a area, right? So these area are defined as a line area chart. So here you can again understand your year date sales versus last year date sales, right? But this chart is not much widely used. I mean, if you're working on bar charts or combo charts, then you can easily ignore area charts. So if with my experience, I would say I have not used area charts as like maybe 1% of all across the time. This is really important. Then we'll talk about scatter plots. So if you want to plot data points horizontally versus vertical, so you can see these are the points, and I have highlighted with different colors to show different categories. For example, I have 3 categories: yellow, red, and blue. So you can showcase all 3 categories, and you using the clusters. Basically, you're making the clusters. Yellows are like this, blues are like this, and red is somewhere like this. So you're creating the clusters using scatter plots, right? So this is useful to build a relationship between the two variables. You have to see the correlation. You have to see if the two variables are dependent or independent. Similarly, we work on Python also. Scatter plots are really important because if you have to understand the relatability, if you have to do forecasting, you have to see if particular feature is dependent on how many features, right? So if you have to see the correlation, scatter plots are really useful. For example, in this one, yellow, whenever the x-axis is growing, the yellow is slightly decreasing, right? So it is not directly proportional. It's not like moving vertically, or you can say with 45-degree angle. Whenever my x-axis is growing, y-axis is also growing. So that is the linear dependability, or you can say correlation is really high. But in this case, it is not. So you can make those kind of conclusions using scatter plots. Then again, funnel charts, not very important, but yeah, these are useful. It is used to analyze B2B sales. For example, you are working on B2B sales, or you're working in B2B company, and you want to create a funnel of how many people are coming in, and then from those chunk of people, how many subscribed to your company, and then from those, how many actually purchased, right? So you're creating a funnel. Like this is my top level, which is awareness. Out of awareness, then some people are considering buying it. Then out of those chunk, some purchased those products. And finally, retention and advocacy, depending on your company, how you work it. This is my funnel chart. So again, all these kind of charts are done in Power BI. So whatever kind of thing is there, you can easily make them in Power BI. And these are gauge charts. Again, if you have to create a particular target setting, for example, in HR department, you want to target, let's say 100, and out of 100, you have achieved, let's say 50. So you can mark it using the dynamic representation. So you don't have to do it manually again and again. You just need to set the target and what actually the sales or particular XYZ feature is happening. Or if you want to set the KPIs, and you can see how much it has been achieved, right? So this will give you target versus achievement kind of calculations. So this was it about the basics of visuals that can be done in Power BI. And any questions before I go ahead
Yeah,
with?
I was about to come in, Adhikant. Would be great if you can just one more time you can tell me about the scatter chart. Need a little more clarity, please.
Sure. So first I'll read out what here it has been mentioned. Scatter plots are used to plot data points on a horizontal and a vertical axis in the attempt to show how much one variable is affected by another. So let's say this is my x-axis, right? And this is my y-axis. Let's say you want to compare sales versus expense, right? Let's say my x-axis is sales and y-axis is expense. Now you have a table where you're being given month on month. Let's say January, my sales is X, expenses Y. Then February, sales is something, expenses something, right? So you have month-wise sales and expenses, right? So for example, for January, my sales is, let's say, 100 and expenses, let's say, 50. This is hypothetical, right? So this is the dot which I'll give you for January. For February, my sales is, let's say, somewhere around here, expenses somewhere around here. For March, my sales is somewhere again like 120 something, expenses 60. So this is my dot. For April, let's say my sales is 200 and my expenses, let's say, 50. So it will come here. For next month, my sales is 500 and expenses somewhere around 70 or 80, which is high. Let's say here. So this is my plotting, right? So this can be line chart, but here I'm creating a scatter. For example, this is for my expenses and sales for one particular quarter. For this again, I want to create for previous year. Let's say this is my 2023. For previous year, I want to create again dots. So I can create again a dots here, right? So I can see the score, the scatter, and see the comparison. I can see dependability of two variables, if it is being dependent on expense or not, right? So you're creating the scatters.
So is that the linear chart can be used interchangeably with scatter plots?
Linear charts,
I mean
like
the linear expansion where we see the vertical line, and also I mean if
Mhm.
we connect the dots.
Yeah.
The question was towards, I mean, how do we draw conclusions? I mean, whether I mean if to make some kind of comparatives, whether we are doing great compared to previous and whatever. So how do we derive those conclusion out of those charts?
So
So in
basic.
this example, only expenses and sales, if a certain clutter, dots are coming in certain area, what
Yeah.
will be the good outcome we should be targeting it?
So basically, if you want to understand this year versus last year, so I would suggest line charts are perfect. In this case, scatter plot is not the ideal option. Scatter plots are something which you want to use when you are working on clusters, or when you want to see the dependability. So if you want to come to a conclusion where it is correlated or not. When we work on statistics, when we say that some, let's say, you want to do forecasting of particular variable, then for that variable there are five independent variables or dependent variables. Then we have to see that dependent variable is related to that particular variable or not. Then we will work on scatter plots. But if we are just representing the dots of expenses and sales, and we want to create a line or something to see how my sales is growing or degrowing versus last year, then line charts are perfect. Then we don't have to work on scatter plots.
So what will be the then again just one more time, and what will be the ideal kind of situation in which, I mean, the scenarios where scatter plot will be the perfect fit?
If you are working on forecasting, so if you, let's say, want to forecast for if, for example, let's say we are working on a project of a particular animal, how its age, let's say, talk about, there is a research on 1,000 dogs, their age, how their age of lifespan, you can say, is dependent on their things. For example, one is food habits, second is the environment, third is, let's say, how much they eat, fourth is how much they drink. These are the features, right? And I have 1,000 data points. For example, one data point is this dog is in Delhi. The weather is, let's say, on an average 30 degrees. Then this dog eats three times. let's say in a day. So this is the actual research, right?
So kind of
And
patronizing the trends, I mean, the correlation, how it is moved from time to time.
from time to time, you can work on line charts as well.
Okay.
So it's not about working on time
No,
series.
here we can see the kind of trend that the clusters that are created. So it's particular time zone that correlation was this, at another time zone it was this. So I think that kind of clusters can give a pattern.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can work on a time in that way when we are creating some clusters. So you are able to see there is a cluster. As you can see here, I have three categories: yellow, blue, and red. You
Hmm.
can see easily from using the scatter plots, like yellow is somewhere around similar. For example, if some yellows were here, some yellows were here, or let's say some here. So you can see the clustering is really, scattered. It is divided. It's not, you in within a particular area.
Hmm.
Here I can see yellow is very similar, so I can create a conclusion. For example, in future, if my data is something like that, yellow will be somewhere here itself. It won't be here,
Okay.
right? Because this chart is giving me yellow is always here, giving some exceptions, of course. It's not like it will always be here, but 99% of chances are there whenever in future I'll use that, yellow category will come here, not here. So this is what scatter plot is giving me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Any other question?
And gauge charts, I believe, are for some kind of comparative. I mean, target versus
Yes.
achievement kind of stuff. Typical comparison kind of stuff.
Yeah, so basically this is not used as a chart when you have a lot of data. This is just like a target setting. When you can see here, this is my target. So this starts from zero. This is my zero, right? Let's say for salespeople, salesman, there is a sales guy. His target for a month is 200K. So this will be my 200K, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
now, let's say he's today's 10th February, right? For February, the target is 200K. Till 10th February, he has done till this line, right? This can be
Okay.
somewhere around 100, let's say. So he understands this is what I have achieved till now. This is the remaining of my
What
target.
remains?
Yeah. So this is really helpful to understand visually just in a second. You don't have to drill down in data and everything.
So
And
the tracking and midway assessment kind of stuff.
yes. And now then when you filter particular segment, this will change in the dashboard. This will really help you if segment wise he has achieved or not. So if you in your department in HR, you have to create some targets or you have to create some KPIs and how much it has been achieved for each and every segment or department or person, then you can use a gauge chart as one gadget, you can say, on your dashboard. I hope it's clear.
Yeah, yeah, that was clear. We
All
can
good.
move on.
So, anyways, in HR analytics, this is the overview. So, there are some things which are done with HR analytics worldwide. So, this is something which I took out from the internet some time back. So, this is one: recruitment and retention. So, HR analytics is used to identify most effective recruitment channels in methods. So, if you want to recruit and have some retention, you can create some dashboards and put some data input, and then you can see the data statistics, and you will understand how you're doing in that. Then performance management, again, it is about employee tracking and understanding the areas of improvement. Employee engagement, then we'll talk about diversity and inclusion. This can be used to track and measure diversity and inclusion metrics, including representation of different groups within the organizations and effectiveness of diversity and inclusion initiatives. So again, if you're saying how to make it more practical, so you everyone understands diversity and inclusion, but how to give some numbers? So again, for that you have to input the data. So you should have the data with you. For example, you have thousands of employees and you should have all the data input. Once the data set is created, you have to inject that in Power BI and you can easily create the dashboard for this kind of analytics. Then learning and development, it can be used to track and measure the effectiveness of learning and development programs, identify skill gaps, and inform decisions related to training and development initiatives. So again, back in back time, you have some initiatives for your employees, and then you can take some feedback and create the data set, and then again inject that data in Power BI, and then create a dashboard which will give you which kind of program was more useful, as uh, which program gave more skills to the employees, depending on the feedback given by all the employees. So that is something which is really important. Then finally, compensation
And
and benefit.
probably effectiveness of a training program can be measured maybe other than this.
Effectiveness of.
Effectiveness of a training program, na? When
So
we are
under
conducting.
L&D thing only, I think he's talking
Yeah,
about the impact that
yeah.
is created over a period of time, and the quality of skill or skill set that is improved. So yeah, should be under L&D. Yeah.
Correct, perfect. So any example, if someone can give me, when you're saying effectiveness or of the program of learning and development.
So normally the L&D or the training is done to done some kind of skilling when there is some gap analysis done, and a person that requires certain set of skills to perform a given task or a position that person is holding. To fill that gap, we arrange specific trainings. Uh,
Perfect.
yeah. So then over a period of time through the reporting manager and as well as there are assessment tool, we try to measure that the whether person is actually moving in that direction to gain
Yes.
those skills which are required to fulfill the expectation of that position. So that's the
Perfect.
basic
So
idea.
this is part of analytics. When you're doing this, so analytics is not always about working on the best of the platforms like Python or Power BI. Analytics is just working on data and coming to some conclusion, right? We are analyzing. Analytics means analyzing the data. Right. So you have perfectly given the effectiveness of learning and development programs when you are identifying the skills, and you are from time to time you are analyzing the person if he's moving in the right trajectory. So this is a part of analytics. Perfect. And finally, the compensation benefits. So it can be used to analyze compensation benefits data, including salary benchmarks and pay equity and everything else. So lastly, I'd just like to give you the most commonly used KPIs in HR. First is employee turnover rate. Anyone who can explain me employee turnover rate? Otherwise, I'll explain.
Employee turnover is basically the number of people who has resigned from the organization in
Mhm.
comparison to the total number of employees which is there for a specific tenure.
All right. So it should be high or it should be low, the turnover rate.
Employee turnover has to be low,
Mhm.
as low as it is better.
Yeah. So anyone who would say like what is the industry turnover rate? Like how, what percent is
Every industry has a different churn. I mean, take example, if from an FMCG background, I would say that between 6 to 7% of a turnover, it's considered to be normal.
yeah, right. So this is one of the KPIs that we can create on Power BI. Then second one is time to fill. This measures the amount of time it takes to fill the open positions. So we have seen it takes a lot of effort from HR team when they open a position. How much time it takes to fill? It can be as minimum as a day to 3 months, 6 months. I have seen one position not being filled for 8 months. So it can be really hard sometimes, right? So we can measure this as well. Employee engagement score, this measures the level of engagement and satisfaction among the employees. We use surveys of, for example, your team will give the surveys in maybe Google Forms or something to all the employees. They will fill the, they will give the feedback, and then you will create employee engagement score and see if there is something wrong, what can be done in a better way or something. Then there is diversity and inclusion metrics. As we were talking about diversity and inclusion, this can include tracking the representation of different groups within the organizations, as well as the effectiveness of diversity and inclusion initiatives. So initiatives that are being made by the company to include the diversity in everything, so that can be tracked. And again, as we were discussing, training and development metrics, performance metrics. In performance metrics, you can include tracking employee performance metrics such as ratings, goal attainment, productivity metrics. I remember some time back when we used to work on KPIs, right? For each and every employee, you work on KPI settings, right? And then we will analyze the performance of each and every employee using those metrics. Then finally, compensation metrics that includes tracking metrics such as employee compensation, salary benchmarks, and pay equity and everything else. So this was it about the basics of data visualization, the principles of visualizations, the visualizations that can be done in Power BI and any other BI tool with the explanation of basics of HR analytics, right? So now we will move ahead with the Excel. We'll use one data set and we'll try to play with that data. So anyone, I really want this session to be really interactive. I know this was theory, so many people was just listening. Now when we are working on the Excel, please everyone give your feedback, tell me what is not happening, how we can improve, what is something on Excel that you would really like to learn, right? So we'll just go directly to Excel. Anyone with any question as of now?
No, I think we're good to go.
Perfect. Start from the data cleaning step, data cleaning, and then, if we have to find out the data from different lookups and then pivots.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what I'll do is I'll just start with the steps, and whenever you have any question, just let me know.
Sure.
Just before going ahead, I just want to give the definition of pivot table. It is essentially a summary table. When we have a raw data, right, we will use a pivot table. So what we have to do is when we have raw data, we just select that and we just go to a pivot table, and this is how it looks like, right? There's a pivot table dummy here, and these are the fields which are coming from the raw data, right? These are the columns like gender, age, hire date, and everything. I have filters, then I have columns, values, and rows, right? So now it is really simple to understand. When we have a lot of raw data, we want through two or three fields, that's it. For example, I want to compare the average age of particular gender. So what I'll do is I'll drag this gender to my rows and age to my values, and in values I'll select average. So for male and as well as female, I'll get a average age, right? This can't be done on raw data directly. This is why we have to use pivot table. So it is essentially a summary table that enables you to slice and dice. Slicing and dicing is really important. Slicing and dicing is a part of data cleaning and manipulation analysis. Slicing is when you are just filtering out the table, right? Like a slice, right? And dice is when you are just using particular fields like conditional formatting, right? So it is very important to understand like how to filter out the table and get the best possible data that you really want to use, right? You can use pivot tables to group data by categories or by to create the custom calculations such as averages, sums, and percentages, right? So this is what the pivot table is. So I think I have shared this data with everyone. So is everyone having this dummy data with everyone? So this is my HR dummy data where I have employee ID, then we have name prefix, first name, last name, gender, department, email ID, father's name, everything else. So if you have this, it's really good if you can work on the steps which I do on your laptop as well, so that you can understand it even better. So if I explain you and you're not practicing it, so it will be very hard to understand. Yeah, so everyone has opened the data set.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, got it.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. So basically, this is my data set. I'll explain the interface first. It will hardly take 2 minutes, right? This is my Excel, right? So this is I work on Mac, so you might find the format slightly different, but almost it is same. So here you can see these were my sheets. Whenever you open the Excel, you will have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, right? So you can have as many as sheets as possible, right? You just need to click on the plus sign and you can create a new sheet for yourself, right? So currently I have 3 sheets, right? And then you can delete whatever is not required. Then this is my basic layout, Excel layout. When we have columns as ABCD, then we have the rows in 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then in the top ribbon, you can see home, insert, draw, page layout. 1 second. Yeah, page layout, formulas, data, review, view, automate, all those things. So first of all, if we talk about home, there are basic icons like paste, copy, cut, which you have the shortcut keys for that as well, like Control X, Control C, Control V. These are the cut, copy, paste shortcuts, right? So you can use from here as well. This is really important when you want to format the columns as same as any particular column, right? Or any particular cell for that matter. So for example, let's say this is my date of birth. It should be a date format, right? So if I right click here and click on format cells, it is showing me the categories date, right? So this is perfect. It should be date format. Now let's go to date of joining. I think this is again uh, date. Yeah, so this is date. Let's say I select general. I want to keep it general, right? Now if I again go back to format cells, and it will be general category, right? But it should be a date format, right? So what I can do is I can go to right click and format cells and select date, or I can easily use the formatting of this particular column. For example, I select this and click on format, this one, copy formatting from one location and apply it to another. I select this and then click on date of joining, right? So this will automatically give me the formatting of the selected one. If I select here, it will give me date as my category, right? So this is really useful if this particular column is highlighted or something is there, whatever is the formatting for the source column or cell or whatever. When I select this and paste somewhere, it will be the same formatting. It is really easy because whenever you're working on dashboards, even in Power BI, this is really helpful. It saves time, right? Then if we go ahead, this is as you can say the font collections. You can use any font. This is font size. This is bold, italics, and underline. You can use these as borders, highlighting, or you can say font color. You can increase or decrease the font size. Now this is to make the alignment like margins. This is aligned to left, to top, middle, and bottom. This is for left, middle, and right. And here you can use orientation of this if you want to angle it in anti-clockwise, clockwise, vertical text, rotate, or the formatting of central alignment. You can use this. Then this is for indentation. If you want to decrease the indentation or if you want to increase towards right hand side, you can use this. Now, if you want to wrap text, you can use this. For example, you have created a text. For example, let's say this is my text, right? You want to wrap it here so that it comes in one column, right? So this is used. Merge center, for example, this is January, February, March. This is my quarter 4, let's say, right? So I want to create this as quarter 4. I'll merge in center, right? And use the alignment. So this is how I can use to make use of merge in center from here, right? Now this one is important. For example, if I go back, if I select this is giving me general. If I select date of birth, it is showing me date, right? This is showing me my format size. So not size, formatting. So you can use general, number, currency, accounting, short date, long date, whatever is there. So email is by origin, it is my text. You can use general for that. Department again is general. You can use general for this as well, for everything. Employee ID can be number. So instead of general, you can use number. But in many of the organizations, employee ID can be a combination of numbers as well as alphabets, right? So for that matter of fact, you would use general. But here in case I can see it is numbers only. So from here I can select numbers, right? Depending on the organization. And now you can see there is a decimal. So you can remove decimal as well from here, right? So this is how it is used. Now, this is my currency. You can use any accounting format. So if you're working in India and working on, let's say, US clients, so you can use this dollar, or you can use euro for European countries, or UK or Australia, whatever. So you can use the currency from here. You are using the percentages when you're working on numbers. Let's say this weight, you want to work on percentages. So you just click here. This will give in percentages, right? And this is for the decimal, right? You can use this in numbers. So for example, this is my numbers, and it is very long. When numbers are really long, use the decimal to have the breakup of all the numbers. This is my conditional formatting. So let's say I want to work on conditional, let's say on age in years. I want to create some conditional formatting. Let's say anything which is greater than 25 should be highlighted, let's say. So I'll just go to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules greater than, and then I'll mention 25, and format with custom format. Let's say it should be bold. Color should be, let's say, green. Click OK. So now, whichever number is greater than 25, it will be highlighted here, right? And similarly, you can highlight the background instead of the color, font color. We can highlight the background as well. And for that, again, conditional formatting. In conditional formatting, there are multiple things you can work on. Let's say if you want to highlight cells when there is greater than, less than, between, equal to, when we are working on numbers, we can use this. Now, if you want to work on top 10, these are thousands of records. You want just to highlight top 10 items on the basis of, let's say,
Can you please just repeat this conditional formatting tab?
all right.
A bit of
From scratch?
confusion was there. Yeah, a bit confusion is there.
No worries. So if we go to conditional formatting, the purpose of conditional formatting is to highlight particular things. For example, uh, if I don't do conditional formatting, so this is how it looks, right? Now, with just visual, I just want to see the age which is greater than 50, let's say. So now, first option is just do it manually, 55, this is greater than 50, then go down, scroll down, this is greater than 50. Or you can just filter out, just Control Shift L and just filter from here. By, okay, greater than 50, and then apply filter. So all these numbers are greater than 50. So this is one option, right? But I just want to have everything. I just want to have everything, but I want to highlight the cells which are greater than 50. In that matter, what I'll do is I'll go to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules greater than 50. And I want to work on, this is generic. Let's go for custom formatting, and color is green as we worked. Let's say we highlight this with red and make it bold and click OK. Now you can see whichever is greater than 50, it is being highlighted by red, right? So you just need to, you just don't have to see cell by cell which one is greater than 50. It's really hard to work from naked eyes, right? Now from here, it is really easy to differentiate between the values which are greater than 50 and which are less than 50, right? So this is one. And similarly, you can highlight the background as well. So this is the purpose of conditional formatting. In this, I was explaining the second one, top and bottom rules. If you want to highlight top 10 items, for example, top 10 ages, for example, we have people with age 58, 59, 60, 61. So whichever are the top 10, it will show when I select this. If I want to filter out top 10%, let's say I have 1,000 employees and I want to say top 100, which is top 10%, right? 10% of 1,000 is 100. So I would highlight only 100 cells with that particular formatting. And similarly, bottom 10 items, bottom 10%, above average, below average. For this column, you can see the average is 40.56. You can see here for the selected columns, for selected cells. Now, if I do conditional formatting using above average, so it will highlight all the cells which are greater than 40.56. Similarly, below average, it will highlight all the cells which are below 40.56. And I can go to more rules and I can create my own rule working on that. And similarly, data bars. So when you want to create bars, let's say I want to do a gradient fill. So this will give me a gradient fill and it will show me whichever is highest, lowest. It is visually appealing and understanding of what it is actually. Right. Similarly, I can work on weight in kgs because this works on numbers. It can work on text as well, but whenever we are working on greater than, less than, average, this is always about numbers. Now, this is data bars. Then we can work on color scales. We can work on gradients from light, maybe white to darkest of greens, or you can do any of the gradients. Let's say I want to work on weights, conditional formatting, data bars, or let's say color scales of, let's say, from lightest to darkest. So you can see whenever you see the darkest, it should be the highest, topmost. Whenever it is white, it is the lowest ones, right? So this is how you can differentiate. So this is about conditional formatting. Now we have understood data bars, color scales, icon sets. So you can work on greater than, less than. So let's say you want to work on numbers and you want to compare it with the last year or compare it with the previous numbers, and you want to say that it has increased from the previous numbers. So you can use the directions. You can use the upper green or the lower red to showcase that this has increased or this has decreased, right? And finally, you can create your own rule. You can clear the rules. So for example, I have created the rules. I can clear this or I can manage. So I've created this rule. I've created this rule. I can edit this rule from here, or I can create a duplicate of this rule. I can delete this. So whatever it is. So whenever you open your sheet and if you go here, manage rules, you will see all the rules which have been applied through conditional formatting on that particular sheet. So you don't have to think which filter has been there, what is exactly happening. So you can just go here and you will see all the formatting done. Any question on conditional formatting before we go ahead?
With all of us.
All right, so I'll be just explaining this quickly. So this is done. And apart from any other feature, if anyone wants to understand, just let me know. I'll explain that. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead with other things. Okay, so this is done. So next one is format as table. So for example, this is my table and you want to format this as a table in this formats. You can just use this, whichever one you like, just to make it a styling part of this. Again, this is my cell styles. Again, you don't need to have in-depth understanding. This looks simple, but this is not. If you work on the themed cell styles and everything, it is really complicated when you work ahead, but it is not needed, to be honest. So you can skip this. This is used to insert cells. You can use the shortcut keys as well, insert, delete, and formatting. This is used to sum. For example, the numbers are there, you just sum from here, and this is used to filter. So here again, when I used Control Shift and L, you can use this filter to filter this, and you can just go ahead and do particular filter part of it, right? So this is it about the home. Then insert, again, there are so many things, but then we'll understand this later on. Let's go quickly to understand the formulas, right? And any question, if someone has, just let me know. Before going ahead with the formula, I just want to understand, give you a brief understanding of delimiter. That is really important. For example, you have the email IDs of all the employees, right? These are the employee IDs, and you don't have the first name and last name by any chance. And you have the employee IDs email IDs like the first name dot last name at the rate gmail.com. So if you want to get the first name and last name, for example, I just copy this and paste it over here. This is my first name and last name, right? I want to fetch my first name and last name from here. The first option is I'll just do manually Bernard. This is Weatherly, right? And again, going for each and every employee. This is how we can do. Second option is using the delimiter. So there is a shortcut key, but again, if we go here, 1 second. So there is one text to columns, right? So if I select this particular column and click on text to columns, so this is the wizard that will come in, and I want to do a delimited one, not fixed width, because there is no particular fixed width here, right? I want to use delimited. Next, I want to, delimit, or you want to split the email IDs on the basis of dot, the left dot, right? So instead of this, I'll select uh, others and select dot, right? So you can see here, this is giving me a bifurcation. So I'll just click next and click next, click OK. Now, all right, so I should have used the other column. Again, if I go back, text to column, next. This is how it is giving me, right? Bernard Weatherly at the rate gmail.com. So this is my step number 1 when I'm getting the first name as Bernard, Cardia, Burton, Lauren, Carter. Now this is my first step. Second step would be this is my first name, right? Again, from here, I can delete this com because I don't need this. Using this, I need to have the surname. I want to split this at the rate, right? Again, I'll go to delimiter, click next. On the basis of at the rate, click next, click finish, click OK. And again, I can delete the next columns. Now this is my last name. Again, from my email ID, I just created first name and last name. The condition is I need to know how the email ID has been created. I know it is first name dot last name at the rate gmail.com, right? So this is how we can create first name and last name using delimiter from here. Any question in this particular feature?
No, I think it's good to go.
Perfect. So if I go back, so this was one working on delimiter and splitting the data. Right now, if we want to work on the numbers, let's say, let me just delete this. So we can just go ahead and work on the pivot tables. So if I select the table, right, I click on insert on the ribbon tab and then click on pivot table, right? So we can click on recommended pivot tables when we have multiple pivot tables or multiple tables in particular sheet. You can click and it will recommend and show, but it is not needed. Just click on pivot table, right? Selecting this particular range, that is perfect. Create a new worksheet, click OK. Now this is my pivot table, right? Here you can play with your data. If let's say you want to create a gender versus average age as we were talking. So I'll just select this and this should be in rows. Age in years should be here, and again it should be average, right? So this is my average. So female average age is 40.54, male average age is 40.57. It's
Average you have selected from the from any of the top icons or from the by right clicking there?
For average,
Yeah.
I selected here.
Uh,
So if I just delete again and get it more, selecting this. So by default, it is showing me some, right? It is showing me sum
Okay.
of age. Now I can click here, but
Okay.
again, this is in Mac, I guess. So what you have to do is select average. What you can do is right click over here in the column, right? And you can use summarize values by.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use
Okay.
sum, count, average. So again, here it is average, right?
Okay.
So if I select on max, it will give me the max ages for female is 60, for male is 60 again, right?
Done.
Now, if I want to create a chart for this, let's say, anyone who can tell me that? I want to create a pie chart for male versus female. All right. So
Private check is option right there. Yeah.
yeah. So again, we have to click on pie chart. Oh, sorry, the pivot chart, right? And it by default, it is giving me the column chart. Female is this, and female the male chart is this. But I can change any chart to particular chart. From here, you can just select pie chart, and this is 2D or 3D. Let's say just go with 2D, right? So this is how the pie chart looks like. Now, if I change the data over here, let's say I change the average age to age in company, right? And this data has to be refreshed, right? One second. Okay, this is my sum of age. Click on average. Again, the average is fairly same. That's why the refresh part is not working, not showing anything different, because it is similar, 9.77, 9.77 for male as well as female. So this is fairly 50-50, right? So you can just select here and you will be able to see here. Again, from here, you can change the type if you want to, or you want to select particular data. And now from here, if you want to save as a template and later on use this, you can use this. For example, if I click save as template, and you can save this on your desktop or somewhere, and you can easily import that template and you can easily work with that. You don't have to create these charts again and again. This is fairly simple. This is just a pie chart, but when you work on it and make it more complex using working on legends, formatting, the color coding and everything, you can save this as a template, right? So this is the basic of pivot chart. Any question? All right. So now this was the basic. I just want to deep dive in VLOOKUP concept, because someone was telling me that just explain how to use VLOOKUP and everything. So if we go back on this HR dummy data,
Just a simple example for the comparison between VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP.
okay. A VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and
HLOOKUP.
HLOOKUP. VLOOKUP. For HLOOKUP, I have never worked on it because I never had opportunity to use it. So
Maybe YLOOKUP, there's XLOOKUP or YLOOKUP is also there.
because I have worked on VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP. So
It's
this is
okay. It's okay.
yeah, yeah.
Whatever you can basically use.
Because if you work on any data set, we have always used VLOOKUP. So for me also, XLOOKUP is not very significantly different. My all kind of works are done using VLOOKUP per se. So this is something which I am really working on. HLOOKUP I have never worked on, but yeah, I'll explain the difference between VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP. right? Let's create another sheet. Let's say there are a few categories. Let's say the category is furniture. So basically, so I have this table, category versus sales. I have three categories: furniture, sports, aviation, right? I have been given the sales for each category. I have another table. This is my another table, right? This table is category versus expenses. So I have the expenses for these categories as given here. My expectation is if I can get the expenses here. First is furniture. My furniture expense is 35, sports is 25, and aviation is 100 as given in this table. But this was fairly easy because I had just three rows. This was fairly 10 seconds work, but I might be having thousands of records. I need to have thousands of inputs, right? It will take a lot of time, and it is not what it should be look like, because Excel is all about automation and working on to make your life easy, right? So if I just go expenses, how we can use VLOOKUP to get these values. So we will use VLOOKUP. Now, what we have to look up. So first is lookup value. Then we have table array. Then we will have column index number and then range lookup. So first one is lookup value. So what is my lookup value here? I'm looking for sports, right? From here, I'm looking for furniture. And this my table array would be the table from where I have to fetch the expenses, comma. And index would be 1 if I'm using from 0. One second, what did I do?
Index is 2, right?
1 second, yeah. So for furniture, my expenses is 35. This is what it is giving me. Now, many people just don't use the dollar sign. If I copy this and paste here, it will not give me the right values. Because here, for sports, anyone can tell me the problem with that?
I think we have to use F4.
Yeah. So what the problem here is, if I select K3 to L5, you can see the selection is from this particular row till the blank row. It is not selecting the sports as my category. The point is, whenever you're using the VLOOKUP, you should always fix the table. For example, here, my table is K2 to L4, right? So just use the dollar sign. Whenever you use the dollar sign, it will fix those cells. And here again, my A column is fixed. So I can use the dollar for A, not for 2. So now if I copy this for the remaining categories, it will give me the right expenses. So I'll just give you one more explanation. My first part is lookup value, that is A2, right? So what I'm doing is I have to look up for furniture in my table array, and the column index will be the second, the expenses that we have to take. expenses column number is 2, category is 1, 1, 2. So expenses will be 2, and the last field is range lookup. It should be false or true. False is when you want exact match. So I want exact match of furniture with furniture, sports with sports, aviation with aviation. So I'll use false as my range lookup and then press enter. Any question on this?
No.
Okay. All good. So let's say we have more categories. Let's say these are the categories. Recreation is 125, FMCG, Indian groceries, let's say 450. This is 725. Right. Now let's say there is one field as my category. So my category is furniture. So I'm just giving you one example. All right. So as you have understood this VLOOKUP, I'll just give you one XLOOKUP example. I'm just getting one example through online because I have not worked much on this from past so many months. So this one is lookup value similar to this, right? Or here it will be like this, yeah. All right. So now you can see XLOOKUP when we are working on the horizontal looking up of it. You can see G2 is my this one. Whenever my category is furniture, I want the sales of that furniture, right? The sales of this furniture is 100, right? If I change it, second, if I change it to, let's say, aviation, it should give me 250. So this has changed from my 100 to 250 because the category is aviation. What I have done is, first of all, G2. G2 is my category over here. So it is showing me selection of aviation. Then A2 to A7 is my first column in which it should look for this particular category. So this is my category column, right? And then finally the B2 to B7 is the column where I have my actual sales. So basically XLOOKUP is meant for lookup value similar to VLOOKUP. In VLOOKUP also we have a lookup value for which the output has to be given. Here my lookup value should be the aviation or category, whatever is here, right? Then we will have the lookup array. Lookup array will be the array which has the category only. So I'll select the column A as my category because it has aviation in that. Then comma, return array is I need sales, right? So return array will be the sales column. So I'll select the sales column over here, right? And then you can just close it. I just don't need if not found, if match mode or something. I'm not using the if else statement here. If I think I might get error, so you can use if else. If not found, use create this or that, right? So this is as simple as that. If I can create a list also here. If I create a list and get all the categories and select from there, and if I use recreation here, my value will change from 250 to 125. So this is how X lookup is working over here. Any question in that? Yeah, I just saw Maninder just texting this. Yeah. Should I move forward or someone has any question in this?
Can we do this exercise on a broader database, a bigger kind of table or something for better clarity?
Yeah. So maybe we can just use the HR dummy data itself, right? So what exactly the confusion is in, like VLOOKUP, the basic expectation is when we are working, we are fetching a data from data table to another table, right? For example, in this particular table, we have this particular record. Now, if I want to have another table and fetch the values, let's say these are some of the email IDs, right? These are some of the email IDs, right? Now I want date of birth, or let's say something else from this particular table. Let's say I want the phone numbers of each email IDs, which I have here. So the only way which is really good is VLOOKUP, because using VLOOKUP, we can get the phone numbers for each and every email ID, right? So using VLOOKUP, I will select this lookup value, comma, and then I'll go back to sheet number, this HR underscore dummy date, right? I can select from here. I can start from email ID because this is my first column, you can say. Till phone number. Or it's not necessary. I mean, if we select the complete data set also, then we have to just mention where exactly is the phone number. I'll just select everything. You have seen I've selected till 50,001. That is my total data set number. And then comma, then going back, the index, column index number. This is really tricky now because now we have to calculate exactly which number is that, right? So let's say, let's make it 10 for now. And now going back, calculate it. This is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So phone number is my 22 as my column, right? So I'll just make it 22 instead of 10. So this is how I am getting my phone number for this particular email ID. Now I can make it fixed. paste it for all the other email IDs. So this is how you can get the phone numbers for each and every email ID. Similarly, you can get your date of birth, date of joining for these email IDs or father's name and XYZ columns. So this is how you can create another table using VLOOKUP from my existing raw data. So this is what you were expecting, or do you want me to have more complex thing in this?
I think it should be fine. Are there any prerequisites? I mean, when we use VLOOKUP, and what should be in place? I mean, what is mandatory? Sometimes it only picks up by first column, I believe, and I experienced that it picks up the criteria by first column only, or if the seat is not saved in your system, then it doesn't work. So I
Right.
face that kind of problem sometimes. So is it
And
there, or I
yeah,
was getting from
one more problem with this is, for example, I have my email ID here, right? And I want department. So on the basis of email ID, if I want department, then either you edit your data set and get the department ahead of email ID, and then work on VLOOKUP, and you will easily get the department for each and every email ID. Otherwise, if you work on VLOOKUP using email ID and department, right, and then work on fetching that, it will be tricky using VLOOKUP.
So we can
Otherwise,
more than one criteria for searching data.
come again.
We can keep more than one criterions for fetching certain data.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, if we are working on, let's say, sum if, for example, if you want to sum particular data on the basis of two conditions, or let's say three conditions, we can use sum ifs, right? Similarly, in VLOOKUP also, we can use that. So for example, in this case, you're saying the criteria is multiple in what sense? Can you give me one example?
No, like you've taken two columns there. So till now I was using it only one criteria, maybe date of birth or maybe name only. But now we have to search certain data for more than one column. So can we do that? There was a question.
Example, like in, for example, this VLOOKUP I have created.
Yeah, so here I think you've searched data on basis of email ID only, right?
Correct, correct.
So we can keep more than one column as a search criteria.
No, in VLOOKUP, how can you do it for multiple columns?
We can't, right?
Either you merge two columns in your raw data and then search from there, or you create a complete dashboard and then filter for multiple columns. Then you can do that.
Understood, understood.
Yeah, and otherwise you can just have multiple columns here and search on two columns using VLOOKUP. For that, you just need, because when we are working on VLOOKUP, this is what my lookup value is, right?
Right.
So lookup value should be one.
It has to be one. That was the question, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because lookup value can't go for let's say email ID as well as department, right? Department is, let's say, HR. So I can just do VLOOKUP for HR as well as email ID.
So then I have to use multiple VLOOKUPs in that
Yeah,
case.
you can use that, yes.
Yep.
And with this, I just want to emphasize on if else as well, because this is what I understood from VLOOKUP when we were working on HLOOKUP also, right? When the formula of X lookup was in my square brackets, whenever any text is there in square bracket, this is not mandatory. So when Excel is showing me if not found, match mode, search mode, these are all maybe you can include that or not, it doesn't matter. So if it is giving me in square bracket if not found, you can use this so that it makes it more, user friendly. Whenever the error is encountered, it will show the particular customized message instead of giving errors, right? So for to tackle that, we can use if else statements, and otherwise also we can use the conditional statements. So I'll just try to explain or capture that. For example, let's say I want to create a particular record, or you can say column for South India, plus let's say it should age is greater than 50, right? We can name whatever depending on the use case or something. I just want to give you one example where I want to filter this table whenever my state, or you can region, is South, or state is Tamil Nadu, or all those states which are coming under this region, and the age of the employee is greater than 50. So here, what I can do is if, so I'll use if statement. If my region is equal to South, right, and my age years is greater than 50, right? Whenever this condition is true, comma, true, tell me it is yes, otherwise no. Yes. So yeah, instead of double and, we just need to use one and. So in double and, I used to work on Power Query, so we use that. So anyways, so if statement, it is having three parameters. So first parameter is logical test. So logical test gives me whatever the conditions are to be met. In this case, my region should be South and my age should be greater than 50. So in logical test, I have given region is equal to South and my age should be greater than 50. So this logical test is this, comma. So whenever this condition is met, my value should, whatever value is there, it should give this. So I have given as yes. So this is true over here. So this is giving me yes, otherwise no. Right. So let me just make it. So if I copy this for the rest of the rows, it give me yes. 1 second. It is giving me yes for this as well. I think we use end only in this, right? Okay, maybe. Yeah, I remember. We used to work on Excel like this. Because in Power Query and Power BI, we use some other stuff. I think this is true, yes. So whenever we are working on conditional statements and we have multiple conditions in if statement, we use and whenever we want these two, both of them to be true. Whenever I want region is equal to South as well as the age should be greater than 50, whenever both of the conditions are true, we use yes, otherwise no. Else, if I just want either of these condition to be true, I'll use or instead of and. Right. So we have this logical parameter, or you can say and or, right? So going back to and, this is how I can use this, right? So I can have multiple conditions here. So here I have used a region is equal to South, age should be greater than 50, and I want, let's say, sales should be greater than 75,000, right? So all these conditions should be met, then it is yes, otherwise no. Right? So this is how we can use if statements to capture particular filtering. Any questions on this? So I think so everyone is clear with this if else statement as well. Sorry.
No, nothing. We are good.
All good. So what I would say is maybe we can just start with Power BI. I think everyone is well versed with at least basics and working on VLOOKUP.
Adhikant, will be great if you can have one example of nested if when where we put in multiple ifs, I think within,
Okay.
yeah. That creates a bit of confusion to me, so if you can.
Yeah, yeah. So if we are talking about nested if, so I want two conditions to be met. Let's say going with the same example, let's say my country, my region is equal to south, taking the same example. If this is true, right? I want another if statement. If this is true, then do some action. If this is true, then again do this action. If my city, or let's say state, making it easier, if my state is equal to Tamil Nadu, and so again for that I have to use a condition like this, and my sales is greater than 1 lakh. Right? So what I'm doing is, in my if statement, whenever this is true, then work on this, right? This is done, and this, yes, right? Bracket closed. Right. So what I have done here is, whenever this, so what, whenever I enter in if statement, it will always work on this condition. So this condition is whenever my region is south, if this is true, then it will work on this. If this is not true, it will go out directly. If this is true, then it will work here, that if it is Tamil Nadu and my sales is greater than 1 lakh, then it is yes. So in this case, region is south, state is Tamil Nadu, everything is correct, but my
Right.
sales is not greater than 1 lakh. So it is showing me false because I have not mentioned it here as no. For example, if I make it no here, so okay, no here. So this will give me no over here, right? Otherwise, it will give me yes if it was accepting, or it is giving me all the true conditions. And now the question is, if you have to use this, then why instead of south, just go with the Tamil Nadu as my filter, as well as sales as my filter, right? This is many people think this is useless to use nested if here in this example, but what we are doing with this is we are reducing the computing time here, because whenever I use south as my filter, I'm already giving the system that don't work on other regions, don't work on north, west, east, any other region, just work on this particular region. So my already 50,000 of records are being filtered to 10,000 records. Now the computer has to work only on 10,000 records rather than working on 50,000. Now, when he is working on 10,000 records, now work on these filters, right? Whenever 10,000 records are there, working on the filters like Tamil Nadu and greater than 1 lakh, then the answer is yes. Then give me yes, otherwise no. So this is how nested if works. Is that fine, or do you want me to work on any other example regarding nested if?
So should be fine.
Perfect, perfect.
Actually, I tried using this, in fact, used it some years back to create this income tax slab. So when I was doing it using an Excel, there are multiple, income tax slabs for calculating the income tax on salaries. So they are
Right.
using nested if.
Right, right.
Putting
So
all these slabs into
yeah,
place.
it is really useful whenever we have slabs, whenever we are working on, let's say, income tax, as you're saying, or any other filtering, when we are creating the categories also. let's say from 0 to 1000 on 1000 to 2000, 2000 to 500 when we are having the slabs, and then we have to use the nested if. So this is a perfect use case in that scenario. So, so if everyone is fine, I can start with Power BI because there are so many things. And if we start tomorrow, maybe we won't be able to make the complete dashboard or so because we have so many things. Or maybe I can work on Power Query before that because that is also helpful. So what I'll do is
We can move. Is this, I mean, is concatenate and another thing that is, what do you call, the defining macro running is also part of this, or
we
it's
can
not
work
there?
on concatenation, but that's again one formula. But macros is not a part of this session.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So anyone who is well versed with Power Query or is working on Power Query has worked on Power Query before?
I haven't. Others can reply.
Okay. So anyways, so as I have understood, at least you have not worked on it. So I'll just go ahead. So what you will do is just select the data, right? So I've just selected data, and from data, click on data in ribbon. This is my Power Query, right? Get data Power Query. Click here. This will ask me choose data source, right? So let's say I just select workbook, select,
I missed the tab where you selected from, sorry.
come again.
I missed the tab from where which you selected this get data query.
Okay. So if you click on data
Data, okay, okay.
and click on get data, right? Excel workbook, you can select any source, right? So if I go to downloads, I have this Excel session Meritt, get data, and then next, you can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Click on next. Now this is my Power Query data. Now here you can see all the workbooks which are showing me here, Excel workbooks, right? Approach, HR dummy data, objective. So you can select here to see the overview, whatever is there in this particular Excel workbook. And you can select which.
I think, I mean, in certain, I think versions it is not there. So do we need to insert it from somewhere? I am not able to see it my laptop, this option in data.
I think you'll have to change your screen now. We can see only the Excel sheet, the earlier Excel sheet.
Okay.
We are not able to see the Power BI screen.
No, not Power BI. I think I worked on Power Query. So maybe
Power Query you're running, yeah. But I'm not able to
I'll
see this option in my Excel. So if, I mean, older version, we need to, I mean, insert something, or if you can guide with that.
I think all the latest versions are having a Power Query. It's a basic nowadays. So you're not able what all options you are seeing in your screen when you select data?
So what I'm seeing is it starts from data from Access, from web, from text, from other sources, existing
Yeah. So
connections.
if you select from Excel, that will redirect to Power Query. That is fine.
From Access.
Not from Access, from Excel. Or maybe you can just share your screen. I can help you.
Yeah, just
Yeah. Just go to data. Yeah. So if you click here from other sources, just select that. No. So can you select the table here, whatever the table you are having here, HRW data?
In the last one, for Microsoft Power Query, where he had showed
No, no,
from
not
other
data
sources,
analysis.
from other sources.
Yes,
Is it-
micro. Yes, the last one. Perfect.
oh, it's going elsewhere.
It is taking time to load.
No, let's something else. Okay,
Just
I'll work on the version. I think we can go ahead in the interest of time of everybody. I'll
yeah.
find it out.
No, I mean this is about the version. Once you
That's what, yeah. So I'll work it out. No worries. We can start with the session.
I think I don't have this from other sources. Maybe the option is not available.
Which uh, version is that?
This must be pretty older one.
Just go to options.
Can I share the screen just for the sake of my understanding?
Anyways, I'll just go back to my screen.
Yep.
Can everybody see my screen?
Can I share my screen just for the sake of my understanding so that I also have this?
Yeah, please, please. Yeah.
So from here, if I have to go there, data, I'm not
From
able
here,
to
you
see.
can see from table range. This is what you have to use. From table range.
Where is that?
Get data. Table range, yes.
Okay, from here, get data.
Yeah, or you can select the table range. Yeah. Not from here because you have already opened the Excel, right? Just select the table range from table range.
Just a second. Under
Below
data,
it,
within
yeah,
data, within data.
within data, you have text CSV.
Yeah,
No, not here. Right inside from table range.
just a minute. Which tab
So
should
I can see on your screen. So if you select from table range,
any of these tabs?
no, no. So you can see
From here.
yeah, select this.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So this is your Power Query editor.
So it's shown here differently in comparison to your.
Yeah. So I'm using MacBook, so it has different features, but it is same. I'll explain you. So this is what it will show for me as well once I open Power Query. All
Same
good?
screen. Same screen is coming to your desktop also.
Yes, I will show you that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just share my screen now. So you can see my screen. Everyone can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah. So if I
Yes,
click on
yes.
Get Data, Excel workbook, you can see it till now.
Yes.
Perfect. So if I click next, now you can see this choose data where I can see Excel workbook. Three options are there: approach, HR, dummy data, and objective, right?
Hmm.
So now when I selected this particular Excel, I have three sheets over here: approach, HR, dummy data, objective. I can review, or you can say preview these Excel workbooks and select which really you want to transform the data. So I just want to select HR dummy data. So I'll just do the green tick over here and then transform data. Click on transform data. Once I click on transform data, this is how my Power Query editor looks like, similar to what you also saw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, this is really important. Is some like everyone has not worked on this Power Query?
No, I have not.
Okay. So what I would suggest is whenever you're working on Excel or Power BI, working on Power Query is very important whenever you want to do automation, whenever you want to do a repetition and you don't want to do it manually again and again. So whenever the system or your task expects you to do it repetitively, just do it once in Power Query and you can do it again and again without working it manually. Right. So I'll just give you the overview of the features over here, the interface part. So this is home where you will get the close and load, not necessary to understand right now. Get data, enter data, options, parameters. I'll explain you all of these later on. No need to understand. So this is how my Power Query looks like, right? So basically Power Query is a automation tool, you can say, where you can just do create some reports through that, or you can automate that. So I'll explain you with an example. Right now, you can see this my HR underscore dummy data. This is over here, right? And whatever I work on it, for example, if I create a new column, let's say, or I can just change the name. Let's say I say first name to F name. So you will see over here in applied steps, there is one more step that has been applied, like renamed columns, right? So the best part over here is you can always go back and change or do something. For example, after changing this, you create a duplicate column of last name, let's say, right? So now this again, a new step has been created, duplicated column. Now, if I want to delete, or you say like whatever I did to the first name, renaming, I want to delete that. I want to go back to my original name. So instead of going back to undo and go back to that step, just from here, just select and delete the renamed column. And if it will ask, are you sure you want to delete this step? I'll select yes. Now you can see this is back to your original name, and I can see the last duplicated column as well, right? So this is how you can see all the applied steps, and you can modify that, delete, or whatever you want to do. So this is really easy. Once you start working on Power Query, you will understand this. I won't go further in the ribbons part because then it will be very tricky. I'll just give you examples, and then you will be able to understand this while working through examples. So once I'll just go back, I'll just discard and go back to Excel. I'll give you one example, very good example, which I have given with worked on with other people as well, that has helped them understand. Let's say there is one table, ID name, division. Let's say there is a grade, and then the actual expenses. Yeah. So ID is 101. Let's say the name is Sachin. Division is general trade. Grade is, let's say, A1. Expenses 1100, let's say.
Can you please zoom in the Excel sheet because it looks very small?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. On grade A2 1200. I'll just keep 3 records to make it faster. In general trade, A3, and let's say 1500 is the expense, right? This is my table 1, right? Now I need to make it shorter. Let's say the table 2 is my limit. I'll explain everything out of this. Let's say the grade is A1, A2, A3.
Maybe you can take a third one as SS self-service.
A division?
Yeah. Just for the sake of taking another sample, na? GT, MT,
Okay.
and SS.
Okay. Super stockist.
Self-service or wholesale, that covers under this.
Okay. Let's say there are 4 records here. This will be added. It's fine. SS 1500, 1300, 1200, 1000, 700, 900, 300, 2000. So I'll just explain what I'm trying to explain here. This is my actual table which has already happened. For example, for ID 101, for Sachin, he is in division general trade GT. Grade is A1. Let's say these are 2 important features for particular name. For particular employee, he has to be having in one division, one particular grade. So it can be A1, A2, A3, whatever grade it is. Division can be GT, MT, or SS, right? The actual expenses that incurred for that particular person is this, right? Now the company has given the limit of expenses for each and every grade in each particular division. For example, if the person employee is in general trade with A1 grade, the limit is 1000, right? In A2 grade it is 1500, A3 is 1300. Generally it should be in increasing order, whatever. This is just hypothetical data to explain, to understand. Now I want to see if this is over limit or under limit, or the expenses are right or wrong, right? So one part is working through VLOOKUP as we understood. So here we will match general date, like division with division. Then we will match grade with grade, right? And on that basis, we will get all the values over here. So let's do that as well. So what I will do is manually, if I see general date for A1, GT for A1, it should come out to be 1000, right? 1000. So what I'll do is I'll just create the VLOOKUP over here. VLOOKUP for my division, this G division, comma. One second, I2P. Yeah. This is my table array, right? And I'll use match function over here, and then it will be false. Or I can say 0. In match function, my lookup would be for grade, comma, lookup would be for this, and bracket closed. Yeah. So my limit is coming out to be 1000 for general trade, and for A1 is 1000. Right now I have to make it fixed. Now if I copy this, so if I see for modern trade or MT and grade A2, MT and A2, it should be 1300. That is showing me 1300. For GT A3, it is 1300, 1300. It is same for SSA2 is 700. It's showing me 700. Now I can make the difference, right? So if the difference is actual minus limit, right? So this is my difference, and I can make the remarks. If this is positive, then my expenses are greater than the limit. If it is negative, that means it is fine. It is not over limit. My limit is 1300, but actual is 1200, so it is fine. But whenever the actual expenses are greater than limit, I have to give the remarks like over limit, and then I have to report that, and then we can do the compensation or whatever. Right? So this is one part. Now, if there are thousands or 1 lakhs of records, I don't want my Excel to work on the formulas like VLOOKUP, right? Whenever I am working on VLOOKUP or match functions, it takes a lot of space in the system. I don't want that. It will become slower and slower whenever the data is added, and it is not automatic. For example, if I add one more record here, for example, there is a new guy who came in the system, Rahul, and he's in service. Let's say the grade is A3, and actual expenses, let's say 1200. And now this is how it is showing me. This is fine. If I have small data, at least I am getting the data to be worked upon. But if there is huge data, I don't want this to happen. I don't want to use VLOOKUP. So in that case, we will use Power Query, right? So what we will do is, this is my table 1, right? Table 1, paste it over here. This is my table 2, which is giving me the limits, right? I'll just mark it as table 2. Let me save this. Let's say I'll just save in downloads. This is my session 1 review, session 1 underscore 10th Feb. It saved it. Now I'll just create a new query. I go to data. So first of all, just a question. Everyone understood what I'm doing here, right? One second. This one.
Yeah.
This table 1 and table 2. Using table 2 as my limits, I am getting the limits for all those records and getting the difference using VLOOKUP and match function, right? So everyone is with me on till this point.
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. So now if I go to my new table, using Power Query, using Excel workbook, browse from downloads. It is my, 1 second. This one, session1_10feb, get data, click next. Now you can see there are 3 workbooks, sheet 1, table 1, table 2. I want table 1 as well as table 2 over here, right? Click on transform data. You can see in Power Query, I have these 2 tables, right? I can drag and drop whatever. So my table 1 is the actual data table, which should, expand by the data coming in. This is my, you can say a fact table, or you can say this is my dimension table, where my columns, these are fixed. And you can see here, I need to rename these. Let's say this is my, let's say whatever.
You can mention channels.
Channel, and this is my, oh yeah, it is already mentioned, A1, A2, A3. And in table 1, let's see, the table names are fine. Yeah, ID, name, divisions. So this is divisions. I can change it to channel. Yeah, so grade, actual expenses. Now my question is, this is my cross tab table. So I have channels in my vertical things and grades are in horizontal. How to make it interactive so that I can make all these numbers over here? My actual objective is to get the expenses, the limit expenses over here for each and every combination of GT and A1 or whatever channel and grade, right? And then I can subtract and see if it is over limit or not. So for that, if I go to table 2, right click over here. So I'll just select unpivot other columns. After that, there is one step applied over here, unpivoted other columns, right? And you can see GT A1, the value is 1000, GT A2 value is 1500. So for each and every combination, I can rename this. For each and every combination, I'm getting the actual value, the limit value. So this is my limit, right? So now I have the combination of all the channel versus grade, the values over here. Now I need to combine and get these values in this table, right? So what I can do is I can merge queries, right? I can merge this table with my table 2 on the basis of these two, channel and grade versus channel and grade, right? And click OK. Once I clicked OK, it will show me table and there are 2 arrows. So just select here. I just want limit, because if I select channel and grade as well, it will be a duplicate because I already have channel and grade, right? Click OK. Now you can see my limit is over here. For each and every combination GT and A1, actual expense is 1100, the limit is 1000, right? For modern trade and grade A2, my actual expense for this particular person was 1200, the limit is 1300. So actually the expense is fine, it's not over limit. Now that I have made this column, I need to create another column, right? So what I'll do is I'll just click on add column. I can just do custom column. But for this, you need to understand the mQuery language, which is not required here as of now. Or you can do conditional column, right? So if my actual column is greater than, again, the values in column greater than the limit, then I can say over limit, else within limit. This is my remarks or whatever you want to name the column. Click OK. Now you can see for these values, my actual was 1100, limit was 1000. It is giving me over limit. For the record Ankit, I am getting the within limit because this is the only expense which is within the limit. Otherwise, everyone else is over limit, right? So this is how I have captured that. Now next step is to just close this and load. Once I clicked closed and load, this is how you will get another table in the Excel sheet, right? Yeah. ID, name, channel, grade, actual expenses, limit, and remarks. So whenever my actual table was there, I'll just go back to downloads. This one, table one. Yeah. So whenever I create another record over here, let's say 106, Rohit, general trade, A2, and actual expenses, let's say 1500. And I have to save this. Yeah. Once I save this, and right now you won't find the data over here. Just need to refresh this. Once you refresh, you will get the data over here from Rohit as well, right? You don't have to work on it again and again. This is kind of automation. Again, whenever you have a lot of data, you just need to refresh and your data will come again and again, and you don't have to work on formulas. There is no formula here. When I talk about remarks or limit, this is worked upon in Power Query, right? So there is a separate Power Query engine, and you're not wasting the computer's space. You're not wasting Excel space. Otherwise, if you have multiple records, you will be getting internet like Excel crashing or whatever. So many things are there. So any questions on this, or everyone understood what I have done?
Can we get an exercise to do this?
Yeah.
Probably if you can repeat one more time, will be great.
Come again.
Probably if you can repeat one more time, it will be great.
Okay. So the step number one is go to data. This is data on the ribbon. Click on get data. Right? On get data, click on Excel workbook or whichever sheet you want to work on. Click on local file browse. My data is in session 1 underscore 10 Feb. 1 second, why it's not showing me? Yeah. Session 1 underscore 10 Feb. Click on get data. Click on next. Now there are 3 sheets, right? Sheet 1, table 1, table 2. For me, the interesting point or important tables are table 1 and table 2. Click on transform data, right? Once I clicked on transform data, let me just delete the previous versions. Delete, table 2, delete. I can just rename, right click and rename, make it table 2 as it was previously, table 1. Yeah, so this is original. Like once I have loaded the 2 tables, table 1 and table 2 is for the reference values, table 1 is the actual table which will be, updated again and again, right? So now I have 2 tables. My step number 1 is table 2 is in cross tab function table. Cross tab is when we have 2 fields which are in horizontal as well as vertical space. So you can see my channel is in vertical alignment and my grades are in horizontal alignment, right? So whenever we are working on Excel, so if I want to fetch this 1000 for GT and A1, I can't merge this with GT and A1 directly, right? I need to make it in a regular format where I can get the grade as well in the vertical format. So what I'll do is click on the this column number 1 channel, right click, and you have to unpivot. So there is a concept of pivot and unpivot. So whenever we work on raw data, we click on pivot so that we can make a pivot table out of it. As we discussed initially in theory, pivot table is nothing but a summary table, right? Now this is like a summary table where I am getting GT versus A1 is 1000, GT versus A2 is 1500. So this is a summary table. I have to make it in a raw format from summary to pivot, from summary to normal raw data. So this is like a reverse engineering going from top to bottom, right? So right click and you just need to unpivot. There are 3 options: unpivot columns, unpivot other columns, unpivot only selected columns. So I just need to unpivot A1, A2, A3. If we had A4 as a grade, we need to unpivot all those columns with A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, right? So now right click over here, unpivot columns or unpivot other columns. If I click on unpivot columns, let's see what happens. So it unpivoted the column channel GT, MT, MSS, right? So this is not what we want. So here you can see GT is here, again A1, A2, A3 are in horizontal format. So I'll just do the deletion of this step, going back to the original format, right click, unpivot other columns, because I want to unpivot all the grades, right? So I'll click unpivot other columns. Now it will give me all the combinations of the channel and the grades. So if we have three channels, GT, MT, SS, and we have three grades, A1, A2, A3, it should have 3 into 3, 9 records, right? So for GT, there will be 3 records, A1, A2, A3. For MT will be A1, A2, A3. Again for SS, A1, A2, A3. So this is how it will unpivot. Now you can rename this by double clicking and make it grade. Right now we have channel, we have grade, we have value. You can make it as limit. Now we have this table in the regular format. We can merge this table into table number 1 to get one particular column over here. Right. So going back, click merge, merge with table number 2. I want to merge this. So if you select this, there will be only one selection. So if you click on division and then you click on grade, again, I won't be able to select both of them, but I need both of them, right? So what you'll do is click on shift and then click on grade. You can see one is division, two is grade. Now if I select grade and channel in this is wrong, because grade is 1 in this, channel is 2, but I want division and grade versus division and grade, right? So again, unselect this should be 1 and then select grade. So this division and this is 1, grade is 2. This is how it should be connected. This doesn't matter here in table number 1 for GT, MT, SS, the column name is division. In table number 2, it is channel, right? It doesn't matter. Name is not mandatory to be same. You can change it to division or channel, but here it is fine as far as you are combining in the right format, right? And if you click OK, it will merge. But before that, there are multiple joining conditions, like there is left outer, right outer, full outer, inner join, left anti, right anti. So if you have worked on sets in mathematics earlier in stages, left outer join means take all the fields from the left table. Left table is table number 1 because this is upper, right? Like I am merging table number 2 on table number 1. So my left table will be table 1. So what I'm saying is take all the columns, or sorry, take all the rows from the table number 1, but take only those records from table number 2 which are matching with table number 1, because I just want all those records which are matching with table 1, right? These are original version. For example, in my limits in my table number 2, I had grade A5 or A7, but that grade is not mentioned in table number 1. I don't want those records to come here, right? I don't want those records to appear. Once there is a grade A5 or A6 here, it should connect with table 2 automatically and it will come, right? So in that case, we will use left outer join, and this is a default. You can select right outer instead of left, but in this case, right outer is not right option. So just going ahead with left outer, click OK. Now this is how you will get, this is my table that is coming from the merge option, and just select here. And if I click OK, so you can see the division and grade are repeating again, right? So instead of that, I'll just select limit and deselect all those options because this is a repetition anyways. Click OK. This is how I have achieved limit column over here. And then going again, clicking add column and going to conditional column and creating new columns from that. Any questions on this? Is everybody there with me?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Probably an exercise or practice can help.
yes. So do you want me to work on more examples?
No, if
No,
they can
if you can,
practice on any
if you
data
can
set.
give us examples, and while we will be back home, before you start tomorrow's lecture, we can practice 2 to 3 examples which you can share with us. I think that will be more
So do you want me to share some videos on these examples so you can see the steps?
Yeah, videos will be great, and maybe a couple of tables to work upon, which we can come back with, so that if we are erring on something, that can be clarified
exactly,
tomorrow.
exactly.
Perfect. So what I'll do is I'll share some videos, I'll share some data sets, and I'll share some objectives. So what I'll do is I'll share data set and ask you to try to achieve particular objective. And then tomorrow, once we resume our session, I can go through those examples.
Exactly, because this is slightly new, so once we practice, we get hands-on practice, will be more clarity, and of course, some queries may come up then.
So I'll just briefly explain more about the Power Query. So going ahead, whenever you work on HR analytics or going into advanced, so this is fairly important. Even if you work on Power BI, Power like Tableau or anything, the
I think
concept.
one particular thing, the example that you've taken is more of a inventory side, so probably we are not able to relate being HR people. So I
Okay.
think that's also one of the reason we are finding it a little harder to digest it completely. So maybe a couple of relevant examples of the table on which we can work upon will help. So I think we'll create tables of our own. You can just tell us the objectives so we can come back with some practice table tomorrow.
What I'll do is I'll try to get some HR data only so that that will be more relatable.
Yeah.
While you're yes, I'll make sure that you get HR data set with some videos and some objectives out of it so that we can discuss on that. Yeah. So
And
once
if you can also help us with, from which version of Excel onwards this actually supports. I think there's a version problem with me. I'm using pretty older version.
I'm not sure what I can
It's
do.
2010, I think, which I have. So I know this is pretty old.
We can just do Excel version for Power Query because I'm not sure. So it's showing Google is showing Excel 2016 or
16
later.
onwards. Yeah, I need to get that.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Got it.
So going back to my Excel, so this is my Power Query, right? So you can see the queries. This is how it shows table 1, table 2. These are 2 queries, right? I can create my own data if I click on enter data, right? I can create anything which I really want to work on, name, let's say, and city. That's it. Let's say my name. So city is Delhi. Right, so these are the 2 records. If I click OK, so you can see this is my query, and you can change it to employee details, for example. So you can create new tables and you can merge this table with these tables. So for example, I have these names, right? Or I can map to ID, the cities where they live, the salaries or whatever, and I can use the merge query from here, right? And from a right table is my employee data, and using from this example, using name from here and name from here, if I click OK, it will give me this column, city column over here in table number 1. So I can merge so many things in one table itself without going anywhere else. And here you don't need to work on formulas as such. You just need to understand the Power Query interface. And then if you work on advanced queries, then you need to understand the M query. M query is the language understood by the Power Query. So if I go to advanced editor for this table, this is my M query. So you can see over here, I'll just decode this in a nutshell. Source is my excel.workbook. This is my syntax for that source. It is coming from the downloads of my laptop. This is my file, session one underscore 10thfeb.xlsx, and this is the source. Now the source is taking the item table 1 sheet, the kind is sheet. It is my sheet as my parameter, right? Table 1 is being taken here, then id is there, name is there, division is there, grade is there, actual expenses is there as a column. So this is my columns, and now it is merging with division grade versus table 2 channel grade, right? So I need to merge table 1. So first of all, I take the table 1, then I merge with table 2 using channel grade. This is what it is showing over here, right? So even if I don't do these steps using mouse, my like right click and all those things, you can just go in advanced editor and just do the coding, and then it will be the same. So this is how advanced users will do. But in your case, I don't think you need to learn this. Just the basics of it is fine. But for you to understand how we can work with interface and how we can merge the tables, how we can use this, because this is a typical example. I'll just discard this. When we have two tables, table 1 and table 2, and then we have to map it using VLOOKUP, and instead of that we use Power Query. This is a classic use case of Power Query, right? Because this task can be completed using VLOOKUP and the match functions, but instead of using formulas in Excel, because it becomes overloaded, plus it is not automated, you use Power Query instead of that. Right now, if I go back, now it is asking me choose data sources. It can be Excel the way I did right now. It can be done through CSV formats. It can be done through XML, JSON files, or SharePoint Online. OData. OData is not just nothing but databases. So if you work on SQL servers, so if your company has database on SQL database or MySQL or any other database, you just click OData and select URL and what kind of authentication is required. You select that, and you can select particular database or table from those servers, right? So that will connect you directly with those data instead of working manually on Excel or anything else, right? So again, going back through Excel, going back, click on get data, next, selecting table 1 and 2, transform data. So now we have understood everything here. If I go to transform, these are the things that you need to understand. For example, here you can see ABC, right? Here you can see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is nothing but data type. So if I select ABC, you can select anything here. For example, GT, MT, SS. I know this is a text. It will remain text. So you have to select ABC as a text here, right? So this has been selected. So now in grade, I know this is number. It will be 1,000, 500, 200, 2,000, whatever, it will be a number. But if you feel that can be a decimal, your limits can be 50.55, something 70.23. So you have to select decimal instead of your whole number. 123 is whole number, right? So if I select 1.2, so you'll just click replace current. So now this will be in decimals. So again, later on, when you add a record here with, let's say, any other division and A1 grade, the value is 50.23. So it will give the value, otherwise it won't match. Yeah, someone was saying something. Okay, so this is about data type. So you can change any data type. If you feel the numbers are in percentages, so you have to select percentage. Again, we have worked on date of joining, date of birth, whenever those columns are there. So let's say I add a data from workbook. Oops, sorry, going back. So I work on HR dummy data, create. This is a massive data, right? Massive in terms of number of columns. I have so many columns and somewhere around 5,000 or 50,000 records, right? Now, I want to delete particular column, right? So what I'll do is remove columns. So what I'll do is, let's say I want to remove gender, department, email ID, father name, mother name. Let's say I want to delete 5 columns. So I'll just click on remove and click on remove columns. Once I click on remove columns, these columns will be removed and a new step of remove columns will be there. And in case you feel that you have done incorrectly and you want to change it, just click here and it will be back with all those data. And let's say you just want the employee ID, name, gender, department, and email ID, and you want to delete everything else. Just click on remove other columns. Once you click on remove other columns, everything is deleted. Just the selected columns will be remaining over there, right? So this is one of the feature. And now if there are multiple columns as you have over here, right, and you have to go to particular column but you're not able to understand where it is, just click on choose column, click go to column and search from here. Let's say you want to go to date of joining and I'll select joining, or you just click date and you'll see how many dates are there. Select date of joining and click OK. It will redirect to date of joining, right? And now you can see here, it is my calendar icon with date. So this is showing this is a date format column, right? So this is how you are working or, visualize, like not visualizing, manipulating or working on cleaning part of your data.
Is there a way to reorder the columns if we wish to?
Yes, you can do that. So for example, department is there, you want to just drag before gender, you can just select this and hard code and go anywhere else like this. Let's say you want to have half of joining before quarter, just drag and drop. Any other question, any confusion, whatever is there, just tell me, I can explain you that.
So this will work similar to VLOOKUP. There has to be some common data field to get the other, to extract other data. The column header will not matter. It can be, the name can be anything, but it will pick the particular data field which should be matching, and data corresponding to that shall be in the result table which we want.
So as I explained, using merge query, so I selected this merge query, right? And right table for merge is whatever. For example, I select table 2. Let's say name versus channel, right? It is not matching at all. Column name is also not matching and fields are also not matching. But I say I want to match on this. I click OK. It will work, but it won't give the right values.
It will not give any results. Okay.
It will not. So let's say I'll do that. So now after this table, I have this one, right? So let's say I click OK. So you'll see all the nulls are there because nothing is common. So it will give me 3 columns which are there: channel, grade, and limit, but everything will be null.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So whatever definition you give, system will take, because it will say that I don't care, but the person has selected department from here it is channel. So he will try to connect. But if values are not matching, nothing will come. So it doesn't matter, the column name doesn't matter. But if, for example, weld shop is there in department, this is channels. But again in channel, there is a weld shop department, let's say, let's assume, then it will connect, it will give some values for that particular match. Otherwise it will give null.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I can again delete this step and go back. It is totally fine. So these are a couple of things. And again, if you want to merge, let's say there is the prefix, then first name, last name. You want to merge these 3 columns. You just need to select these 3, right click, merge columns. Separator should be, let's say, space, right? And the column name is the name, let's say. Click OK. So it will give me Mr. Bernard Weatherly, Mrs. Cordia Knopp, right? So this is how the merge will take place. Now, as you can see, if I merged these three columns, I can't see those three columns because those three columns have been converted into one column. So what I can do is delete. I can select these three again, right click. I can merge. Okay, not from here. So what I'll do is I'll just duplicate it. 1 second. Somewhere it was here. Anyways, so what you can do is right click, duplicate column. So you can individually duplicate the columns, duplicate, right? Going back, again duplicate, going back, last name, duplicate. Right now you have prefix, first name, last name, all these three are duplicate. Right click and you can just click on merge, separator is space. This is my name, right? Click OK. Now this has been created. I can drag this to my initial stage. Sometimes it's challenging. So that's why I use coding, because if I use coding over here in advanced editor, I don't need to do drag again and again. Yeah. So I can drag it over here. So now I have prefix, first name, last name, and then my name as my merged version of it. Yeah. Similarly, as I use delimiter in Excel, I can use delimiter for email ID and I can split this. But I won't be doing that because it's fairly easy. Similar to that, I can split column by delimiter, by number of characters, by position, by lowercase to uppercase. For example, in department, all these are in uppercase, but I don't want this to be uppercase. So what I'll do is, no, that's something not required. I'll just delete this step again. So that's the beauty. You can just delete and it will be same. 1 second. It should be here. Yeah. So you have to transform this column in text format. So let's say you want to make it capitalize each word. Click here. So now you can see Weld shop, everything was in uppercase, but now the first letter is in uppercase and it is in the capitalized format in the word. It looks fairly neat, right? So
Quick question here. I mean, in normal under the Excel tabs, there is no option to capitalize or change the when this thing
No.
uppercase or something. It's
No,
not there, right?
no, you can use the formula to
Yeah.
make it in uppercase or lowercase, but there's no option as such like this in Power Query. Like here, you can easily just select. You want to make it everything is in uppercase, you just select uppercase. If you want to transform this column in lowercase, everything is in lowercase. So that's why Power Query is really powerful. And whenever the new records are inculcated in this, everything will be same for those records as well. I can make the length of it, like what was the length for each department. Making it duplicate and creating the length, I can do whatever with that. Right? So I can clean the data. So for example, sometimes in the columns, you have empty spaces, right? And that's why sometimes when you are merging the data or when you're working on the data, it doesn't work and you're thinking what exactly is the problem, because spaces are not visible, right? For example, this is Mr. Dot and there is no space, but there might be some space, and because of that we are not able to work on those data. So what we can do is right click, transform data, text transforms, and click on clean. Whenever you are doing cleaning and trimming, so whenever we do trim, all the spaces from the right hand side and the left hand sides will be deleted. And whenever you're doing clean, whatever else is there, it will be clean.
Great.
So that is something which is really fast. In Excel, you have to use the formulas.
Right. Sometimes when we download data from certain databases or maybe software, so that the outcome in Excel is not. I mean, there are spaces and unnecessary
Yes.
things there.
So those outputs, just input them in Power Query and work on these transformations.
And even in most cases, as you were telling about the employee ID, it is downloaded in character format, which again, I mean, creates trouble when we are doing the lookup or something.
Can you please repeat?
I'm saying in certain cases, the employee ID or certain cases are downloaded in character format. The format is character, not the number as it should be.
Yeah.
So we have to do it manually sometimes.
Okay. So can you give me one example? For example, employee ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That way only. But the format, there is formats, number, the accounting, and the
Yeah,
general
so
character.
you can change the type from here, and then automatically it will be transformed. For example, there are some errors in this particular column. You can just click on replace errors. Say, let's say there are some errors and you want to replace it with none, right? So and click OK. So wherever the error is there, it will be replaced by none. So you have to make it in a cleaner format. So it is really, really powerful over here. Let's say when we were talking about ages in for the employees, wherever it is greater than 50, make it yes or no, whatever. We can easily do over here. If we click here and click on add column, conditional column, age greater than 50, let's say the column name. If my age in years is greater than 50, make it yes, otherwise make it no. Click OK. So you'll see there is a new column with yes and no. If you select, you can easily see. And if you select yes, all the records will be for yes. Simple as the filter function in the Excel, right? And then again, you can delete these steps and you're like good to go with the same data. In Excel, once you're done that, you can't you can't change that. Only ways you have to undo it again and again to reach to particular step. For example, in over here, I have used reordered columns, then duplicated column 1, column 2, then merged columns. I say all these 5 are incorrect. I just want to go back to duplicated column 2 version. I select this. So now this data is whatever I did the update till duplicated column 2. These are not worked upon. So you can see department, it is all in caps. Rather I did in lowercase, right? Still it is in upper caps. Because till this step, from source, navigation, promoted headers till duplicated column 2, this step never occurred, uppercase.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is how useful it is and powerful it is.
So we can refer to the phases which was in progress whenever we select any such.
Yeah. And then if you feel these are redundant, you can delete all these steps, whichever you feel are irrelevant. Yeah. So this is going back to duplicated column 2 version. Any other question on this?
I'm sure there will be a lot of questions when we will exercise for
So what
ourselves.
I'll do is, Anil and everyone, so I'll give you dummy data with the objectives and some videos. Once you go through all those things and once you try solving it yourself, then you will understand where you can face problems, because it is not easy, to be honest. Power Query can be easy if you don't, if you want to learn basic stuff, it can be easy. But if you want to go in depth, want to make it more useful for yourself, then it can be tricky. In that case, you have to be more, into Power Query, practice every day, and then you will be very, you have that kind of touch in that. So I'll share all those resources with everyone. I'll share with Vilma and then
The data which you have shared, I think it is already related to HR,
Mhm.
because most of the things are related to HR. So I think
You
if
give us the
we
objectives to
get,
work upon, I think. Using
Yeah.
some tables, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, if you can provide us the questions or objectives what we have to do,
Mhm.
and maybe some of the sample videos where it can, where a guidance is there or support is there, how can we do it? Then obviously, if even if by looking at the videos we want to do it by referring it, so I think practice can give that expertise.
Right. Perfect. So what we'll do is I understood like my initial session, it was fairly basic when we were talking about Excel. So many of you were thinking like it was very easy. But what I'll do tomorrow is work on Power Query and Power BI. So tomorrow, 3 hours session would be completely practical. So I would expect everyone to download Power Query on your desktop. If someone is not able to download, I'll help you out tomorrow morning, but try to download it and install it in on your system. Once everyone is ready, we will start with Power BI on the same data set as you can see on the screen. I'll create a dashboard from basic to advanced. 3 hours it will be all about Power BI, I would say, because Power BI will help you, and this is something which is really expectation from everyone. And what we have like learned today is Power Query, that will be useful tomorrow as well. So when we are working on Power BI, so I'll just open Power BI.
I wanted to show you that I've downloaded the Power BI link,
Mhm.
and from one of my administrator from the IT, he installed it with me. I just
Yeah,
wanted to show you if it is the right one or not, or if you can check the Power BI is installed or not. Can I share my screen?
yeah, you can.
Can you check?
I can see your screen.
Okay, where should I go to test it to check the Power BI?
So just search Power BI on your desktop.
Okay, here it goes. This is the icon which I'm having.
No, 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 just minimize this. You don't have to go to Excel for Power BI.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you see my screen?
I can see your Excel page.
Okay, just 1 second. Then let me share back. Uh, 1 second. I have to share with my desktop with you so that you can see. Okay, now see. Are you able
Yes,
to see my screen?
I can see your screen. Yeah, I
So
can see the Power BI. I can, you just
yeah.
double click that.
Okay, I have double clicked on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do I supposed to do here?
So now you have to log in with your work email ID.
Okay, with my office ID or unofficial?
With your office ID, because you can't log into Power BI with your like Gmail or something. It should be work.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can just cross it. Just don't sign in. It's not necessary to sign in right now.
Uh-huh.
You can close this as well, the green one.
Okay.
Yeah, you can close this notification.
Okay. I'm closing this also. Now see.
This is the Power BI desktop. This is where we will work tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
So I would expect everyone to download and install and have this space by tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
So I would really ask everyone, like everyone who has not contributed much. I mean, Anil, I would say, was talking a lot, and A.W. Khan. How about others? Devinder, Shobit, Venkat, Shushma, Maninder, Avinash, everyone, like Anyone who has anything in mind regarding Power Query, Excel, or Power BI, because tomorrow I'll start with Power BI and it will be intense, complete end to end. Any question or feedback on that?
Right. So as this is completely, new software or new thing, so more hands-on practice that we do, the better it will be for all of us to, understand thing and grasp thing quickly. So this is how I understood the Power Query usage today. So
Okay,
more practice will only help. Uh,
perfect.
because
I hope,
if we compare it with Excel, so Excel we use it, all of us have been using it since years in our daily life, so it becomes easier for all of us to visualize things and grasp things very quickly with respect to Excel. However,
right.
Power BI and Power Query is something very new and unknown for most of us.
Mhm. Done. So feedback taken. I'll do the same for Power BI, the way we have done on Power Query, right? It will be from basics, and I'll make it more interactive. I would really request everyone to interact tomorrow and make it fun session so that everyone learns, and it will be a great session, I hope.
Absolutely. This is
By
actually,
the way,
when the
any
Power Query is a very, very
additional,
strong tool, I think. Sorry.
yeah.
Somebody else.
So it's okay. Please, you
Yeah,
carry on.
so it's a very strong tool. It's very interesting. And I think to work on a larger database is going to be really helpful. And the kind of option you just saw, it is a very kind of, I was very excited to see that, okay, these things are actually available within the gamut of Excel. I think by practicing it, it is going to be very, very helpful tool for us.
Perfect.
As I said, when we go dig deeper into it, try practicing it, we'll come back with things. And I think reading a little about Power BI tonight will help us for tomorrow's session so that our
That will
basics
be
are there
great.
in place. So then interaction level and the questions and all will be more than what we have saw today.
Exactly.
Yeah.